what has surprised you the most during this year? Any particular events or something like that?
No, I think we have been, and we still are, positive to the market, but I think the market's been stronger this year than we would have thought. I mean, we've had times where standard Capesize have been making 85,000, then we're making kind of 110, 120,000, again against that 14,000 cash break even. So I think although we were positive, we didn't expect that the market could get that strong, but that just shows you that we're in a fundamentally tighter market. I think the second thing which has been a surprise is the amount of coal trade that's been going on. Of course, the world is on a joint mission to decarbonize, and there's clearly a lot more investments going into renewables relative to what we've seen in the past. And I think if you asked me in January, I would say I was probably not as negative as everyone else, but I would say that coal is going to go down as part of the energy mix. There will still be some growth because there's still coal plants being built out in Southeast Asia, in China. But what happened was essentially we've had an energy shortage, and particularly LNG prices have spiked through the roof. So we've seen European utilities switching from gas to coal. And we're not even into the full winter season. So it's still an interesting time where China, who's hugely reliant on coal, they're at around 15 days of consumption on the large power plants. They're typically at 20, 25 this time of year. India has been down at critically low levels. So net, we've seen the coal trade grow by around 7% this year. And that's something I think people didn't expect. I'll just make a note also that I talk a lot about coal now. We don't actually transport a lot of coal, but we compete with standard Capesize ships that do. I think less than 5% of our cargoes, around 5% since we started, has been coal, but that impacts the market a lot. And I think another, if not surprise, kind of a surprise, is as the market got as good as it got, usually you would have seen a lot more ordering. So when people see that earnings are there, they tend to order more ships, and they never learn. I think it was maybe more luck than anything that the container market took off 9 months ahead of the bulker market. And there's been a massive ordering in containers, which has booked up all the yard slots. So if you went to order a dry bulk vessel today, a large dry bulk vessel like we have, you can hardly get the delivery within 2024. So the fact that the same year we have ships at times earning 110,000 a day and no one ordering ships because of the long delivery times and yard slots, I think that's something I wouldn't have predicted.
How easy is it to quickly start a new yard? Because we often talk about that the capacity at the yards, and there are a couple of famous ones, or a lot of famous ones, but just in general, how hard is it to just start a new yard if you see that you can have a lot of orders coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I think over time, if the market gets tight and pricing is there, you will see capacity added. But if you look at the last upturn from 04 to 08, 09, a lot of greenfield yards were built in China. I mean, yards that literally did not exist were taking orders. But a lot of those blew up as well. And the financial institutions which have given the refund guarantees were the ones that were left with the bills. So since then, I think you've seen a consolidation of the Chinese yard industry. The state groups are now consolidated to one. And effectively, credit support through the banks giving refund guarantees are only given to a smaller amount of yards. So I've seen some different numbers, but it's estimated that Chinese yard capacity is probably 30% lower now than it was at the previous peak. The other thing that's happened is even if new building prices have gone up a lot, the yards are still not making a decent margin. It's not a very profitable business because they've only been able to take prices up with this kind of cost inflation, which is quite high on labor in China these days. the increase in steel prices, and then the yuan has strengthened against the dollar. So I think that you could potentially see new capacity added, but not over the next couple of years. And I've been traveling around in some of these areas where there are yards, and it's not like they're all sitting there and are ready to be turned on. A lot of them have been rezoned for residential purposes, and the capacity that was there literally is not there anymore. So that's probably the thing, not only for dry bulk, but for a lot of shipping in general, that makes me the most positive is the order books are historically low in certain segments. For our segments, it's around 6.5%. There's nothing really you can do about it for next couple of years. So we'll see what happens. Korea really isn't competitive for the type of ships that we are building. Japan builds much less in volume, and they typically serve domestic market. So I'm extremely positive on the supply side outlook for the next couple of years.